Heading into Week 7 of the NFL season, the New York Giants will travel to Florida to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the New York Giants, as of right now, currently have a 5-1 record coming off two impressive back-to-back victories over the Green Bay Packers and the Baltimore Ravens, and the Jaguars, who are coming off back-to-back divisional losses, are looking to get back on track in the win column and try to compete yet again in the AFC South and try to regain some momentum. So in today's preview video, like I always do, I'm always going to talk about the opposition first, and that's going to come with the New York Giants. And I'm going to talk about them on both sides of the ball, offensively, defensively. Then I'll transition to the Jaguars, talk about them on both sides of the ball, and at the very end, I'll kind of give my last key takeaways and my final verdict and my score prediction for this game. So let's get right into the New York Giants football talk. So as I said earlier, the New York Giants are coming off two impressive victories, and the win over the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson really solidified to me that Brian Daboll was not only the correct hire for the New York Football Giants, but also that Brian Daboll has really turned the culture and this team mentally around for the New York Giants, and they're doing impressive things right now. And surprisingly enough, the NFC East is looking like one of the best divisions in all of football, especially considering the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles are the only undefeated team in the NFL. But when you talk about the New York Giants, let's actually talk about their ranks and where they are offensively speaking. They are number 31 in the NFL in passing yards per game, and a lot of this has to do with Daniel Jones. Now, Daniel Jones has not been as bad as we've historically seen from him since being a 2019 first-round pick, but Daniel Jones is still not doing enough. Brian Daboll has essentially made Daniel Jones a game manager, made this a run-first team, and has really taken the ball out of Daniel Jones' hands and saying, just be a game manager, do what you need to do for us, but I'm going to limit your opportunities so that you don't mess the game and you don't conflict the outcome of the game for us. That's been my biggest takeaway watching the New York Giants so far this season. But when you talk about their rushing offense, they are number 4 in the NFL in rushing yards per game. And that's a credit to Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley, when healthy, is a top 5 back in the NFL. I know he's dealt with a lot of injuries, but I've always believed in him and his ability since coming out of Penn State. And Saquon Barkley this year, 119 rushing attempts, first in the NFL. 616 yards on the ground, second in the NFL. He is tied for 5th in the NFL with 4 rushing touchdowns, and he's also getting involved in the pass-catching game. 21 receptions for 115 yards. Sticking with the Giants on the offensive side of the ball, they're number 18 in points per game, and they're number 25 in total yards per game, so they definitely need to do a better job in those categories. But at the end of the day, they're 5-1, and they're winning the close one-possession games. But when you flip to the defensive side of the ball, for the New York Giants, they are number 8 in opposing passing yards per game. Great job by their secondary. They are number 28 in opposing rushing yards per game, so the Jaguars need to look to exploit that. They're number 7 in opponent scoring points per game, top 10 in the NFL, and they're number 15 in opponent total yards per game. So overall, I think the New York Giants are doing a great job so far. They've had some impressive victories. They've shown a lot of ability to win the close games, something that the Jaguars really haven't shown much ability to do so far through the first 6 weeks of the season. And the New York Giants, it's all reflected in their record, sitting at 5-1. And guys like Kayvon Thibodeau are doing an impressive job, him coming back off of his injury. And let me just give some credit really quickly to this New York Giants defense as a whole for what they've been able to do, the way that they've limited guys like Aaron Rodgers and now Lamar Jackson, the last 3 MVPs that we've had the last 3 seasons. They held Lamar Jackson last weekend to 17 of 32 passing, 210 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and also limited Lamar Jackson to 7 carries for 77 yards. While that is 10 yards a rush, that's still Lamar Jackson. You can essentially count Lamar Jackson in for damn near 100 yards every single game. The New York Giants are doing something special right now. This is not a team I am overlooking if I'm the Jaguars, and I think the New York Giants are doing great things right now. And this next half of the season is really going to be a battle test for them. See if teams can start figuring them out, but I just want to give them their praise real quick. Now let me transition into the Jaguars. So as I said, the Jaguars, they've lost 3 consecutive games after starting the season off 2-1, but these last 2 losses have really hurt the Houston Texans and Indianapolis Colts as you drop divisional games, which are just as important as as any regular season game. But the Jaguars, when we talk about their ranks, let's go on the offensive side of the ball. The Jaguars are number 20 in the NFL in passing yards per game. They're number 9 in rushing yards per game. They're number 11 in total yards per game, and they're number 15 in offensive points per game. So the Jaguars offensively, they're a basically middle of the pack team, just about an average offense when you look at them statistically speaking. But when you flip to the defensive side of the ball, the Jaguars are number 21 in opponent passing yards per game. They're number 3 in opponent rushing yards per game. So they're top 3 in rush defense, which is a phenomenal job, significant upgrade from what they were last season. The Jaguars are also number 11 in opponent total yards per game, and they're number 9 in opponent points per game. So coming into the season, I said that the Jaguars were going to be a top 10 defense. I think that they've kind of solidified and validated that for me, really backed up that talk. I think that their week 6 performance at Indianapolis was easily their worst performance of the season, and it's been a one-game blunder fluke for me personally, looking at the Jaguars defense. And I know people are going to get onto Shaquille Griffin, and while he didn't play good and while I was disappointed in him, there is absolutely no reason for Jaguar fans or NFL fans or fans of any sport to go into another players and other athletes, direct messages, talk about them, talk about their family, talk about, girlfriends, wives, doesn't matter. There's just a certain limit and boundary, and I just wanted to make that very clear. That is not acceptable to me. But looking at what the Jaguars did last week versus the Indianapolis Colts, Trevor Lawrence had yet another impressive game. He's been inconsistent this season, but when he's played well, he's played extremely well. Trevor Lawrence last week versus the Colts was 20 of 22 for 165 yards, 1 touchdown through the air, and 2 touchdowns on the ground. So 3 total touchdowns, a 90% completion percentage. Great job by Trevor Lawrence, and he also took the Jaguars down the field when we were trailing and ended up getting a go-ahead touchdown to take the lead 27-26 in the fourth quarter. That's the first time we've seen that out of Trevor Lawrence, so that was a great job by him. Travis Etienne did a great job getting involved in the game as well too. 10 carries for 86 yards, 2 catches for 22 yards as well too. And while I've been talking about the defense, I forgot to mention this guy, and let me give this guy his flowers and let me give him his recognition. And that's our 2nd round pick in the 2021 draft at number 33 overall, Tyson Campbell out of Georgia. He had a lot of ups and downs his rookie season, but he has really turned the corner in the back half of his rookie season, and he's carried that kind of momentum into this season. Tyson Campbell, head to shoulders, is playing at a Pro Bowl level this season. Pro Football Focus has him currently graded as the 9th highest rated cornerback in the NFL, and he had an impressive Week 6 performance versus the Indianapolis Colts. Tyson Campbell was number 4 in fewest yards allowed at 161 yards among all cornerbacks in the NFL, with that minimum of 30 attempts so far this season. He's the number 1 graded cornerback in the NFL last week at a 91.3 grade per PFF, only allowing 3 catches for 8 yards, 2 forced incompletions, and that was on 8 targets. Tyson Campbell is playing like a Pro Bowl level corner, man. I had to give him his shout out because there's been a lot of guys on the Jaguars defense making a huge impact, but having a true cornerback number 1 on the outside, Tyson Campbell, keep doing a great job, man. Jaguar fans have your back. So kind of giving my final verdict and my thoughts with this game, let me say my final thoughts about the Giants. This is not a team that I'm overlooking. They've had 2 impressive victories, like I said, over the Packers and the Ravens that really made me believe in this team and what Brian Dable's been able to do. And for the Jaguars, I do believe that while they do sit at 2-4 and they have dropped 2 divisional games, I believe that the Jaguars are actually a significantly better team than their record actually indicates. I put that tweet out on Twitter just the other day, as you guys can see here, and the Jaguars clearly are a significantly better team than they were last year. You've seen that there's been a lot of coaching changes that have really helped schematically what the Jaguars have been able to do. Trevor Lawrence has taken a big step up his sophomore season, and there's just a lot more talent on the Jaguars side of the ball. The Jaguars are competitive in every single matchup, and the Jaguars also, every single game that they've lost this year has been by 1 possession. The Jaguars have been in every game. They've had their opportunities to win, but when they are losing games, they're shooting themselves in the foot and they're beating themselves more often than not. Now, giving my score prediction and my final verdict, I think that the Jaguars will squeak out this win. They will improve to 3-4. The Giants will drop to 5-2. But this is going to be a slug fest of a game. I don't see the New York Giants or the Jacksonville Jaguars having a high-scoring day at TIAA Bank Field. I have the Jaguars narrowly winning this game 24-20. I think that the Jaguars are going to go out there and force a significant amount of turnovers defensively. I also find that the Jaguars offense is going to significantly struggle versus this New York Giants defense and what they're able to present as well too. The Jaguars, I'm not extremely confident in this matchup, and I'm not extremely confident in my prediction. But you know what, man? I think that the Jaguars can get back on track. I think that the Jaguars desperately need to get back on track. And I think that the locker room is feeling a sense of urgency now that they've dropped to 2-4. They don't want to drop to 2-5 because then essentially the season's over. Well, they want to get some momentum, moving back in the right direction, and at least go 500 prior to the bye week. So I think the Jaguars squeak out this victory 24-20 in week 7 over the New York Giants. Giants fans and Jaguar fans, I want to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Who do you guys have winning this game? And also, I want you guys to draw me a score prediction in the comments down below. But if you guys enjoyed today's video, man, make sure you guys drop me a thumbs up. It takes 1 second and it helps me and the channel out tremendously. And if you guys are new here, consider hitting that subscribe bell to stay tuned for more NBA, UCF, and of course, Jaguars content that I do here on YouTube. And make sure y'all go follow me on my socials, especially on Twitter. I'm very active and I'm on there every single day. Link tree will be in the description down below. But thanks again for sticking around throughout the whole video. Brett James, aka BJ. I'm out, y'all. Go Jags, baby. Peace.